McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you this morning?
Well, I haven't put away the sweaters and sweatshirts yet, so.
No, but hopefully, at least it's sunny out today, and if the weathermen are correct, and they're always 50-50, it is supposed to get warmer starting tomorrow, so maybe we get some sun today, and, we turn a corner starting tomorrow and you can start to get into a little bit of warm weather here.
I hope so, man. I keep the winter hat in my car until about mid-May. You never know around here.
Yeah, well, you never do know. I mean, it can be, that's the one thing covering Cape Atlantic League baseball. You can go to a game in Ocean City and it can be 50 degrees, and on the same day you can go to a game in Buena Regional and it can be 75. So it's always good to keep a variety of, clothes in your car and be ready for any occasion.
So what's going on with you, man? We're about a week into the spring sports season, so we haven't really figured out too much. So what are your impressions so far?
Well, after this interview wraps up, I'm about to get in my car and take the long trek to Bridgeton for the Bridgeton Relays today. A great event out there, the great facility at Bridgeton. A decent amount of boys track and field teams to compete in the relay event out there. The state's oldest relay meet, a great event. That is, kind of a staple of the early April season. And you talk about weather. I mean, today is sunny, a little windy out, but the Bridgeton people can tell you weather stories dating back 50 years of, running through ankle-deep water on the track and everything else. So I'll be out at that event later today, and you can look for coverage of that in the Press of Atlantic City and online. And basically, baseball-wise, I kind of look at the week coming up. Like you said, we kind of, a week into the season, but I think we got a key week coming up here. Two big games I've kind of got an eye on. One is, Millville, St. Augustine on Monday at 4 o'clock, and the other is St. Joe, Holy Spirit, Thursday at 10 a.m. I think those games are going to tell us a lot about or set an early direction for Cape Atlantic League baseball.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I saw Holy Spirit the other day. They look strong. I mean, they don't have Billy Crowell pitching, but he's still out there as a hitter, and a lot of seniors, a lot of those guys who really helped them win that championship as a great group of sophomores a couple of years ago. So they're I'd expect some big things from them this year.
Yeah, looking at them, I think they were up to a 4-1 start. And I think in their 5 games, I was looking at it last night. I think they've only totaled up, allowed 4 or 5 runs. And they outfielder Don Baselli is off to a great start with the bat. They've got great pitching. Bobby Spicer's pitched well for them. Lexi Blanchard has thrown a good game for them. So, again, it's a Holy Spirit team, and you kind of hit on it right there. A lot of those kids were sophomores on the team that won the state title 2 years ago, and now they're back as seniors and kind of, maybe sometimes when you win when you're a sophomore, you kind of catch it. And certainly that was a team, Holy Spirit was under 500 entering the state tournament. They kind of caught lightning in a bottle. And now they're seniors, and this is sort of their last chance. So they got one kind of as wide-eyed sophomores. Now they're looking to get have put together another good season as experienced seniors.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Cape Atlantic League in terms of baseball. Some of these perennial powers from the last couple of years are taking their hits a little bit early in the season. Teams like Mainland, Ocean City, Buena, they're kind of trying to find their sea legs with a bunch of new players.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's maybe some of those teams are kind of in a rebuilding mode a little bit. I saw St. Augustine last Monday. St. Augustine opened up the season with a 6-2 win over Mainland. Jack Billings struck out 14 Mainland hitters in 6 innings. I thought Mainland looked good. They had a couple of good young pitchers. They've got some, young talent there. Maybe a little bit of a rebuilding mode for both Ocean City and Mainland this year. A lot of big names that we're used to seeing. Mainland, Kyle Gerace, Ocean City, Sean Mooney, a lot of guys who have gone on and now having great success as college freshmen aren't there this year. So maybe those two programs, a couple others, kind of rebuilding a little bit. Buena Regional, you mentioned today, they've got a big game with St. Joe this morning, 11 o'clock. So I think that's an opportunity for them to sort of get back on track. But I think, you look at Millville's off to a 2-0 start. St. Augustine's 4-0. I think the winner of that game on Monday at Millville becomes the team you kind of look at as the team, I know even though the Cape Atlantic League is kind of split into 3 divisions for Diamond Classic purposes, they're split into 2 divisions, and kind of in your own mind, when you look at the Cape Atlantic League, you always think of, the big schools and the small schools. I think the winner of the Millville St. Augustine game on Monday becomes, the team, the big school team that we kind of look at as being a little out in front right now. I think the winner of the Holy Spirit St. Joe game on Thursday becomes the small school team that you kind of look at as being a little bit out in front. But it's still very early in the season.
Yeah, you mentioned Millville. If you're a bar or restaurant owner in Millville, you better make sure you have the MLB Network on your TVs tomorrow night.
Well, exactly. The Mike Trout thing, the Mike Trout documentary on the MLB Network, and we had John Russo go out there for us for the Press of Atlantic City, and he did a great story that was in yesterday's paper and is still online. You can get it at pressofac.com about the showing of the documentary at the Lavoie Theater, and I've seen clips of it, and I've got the DVR set for tomorrow night. But from what I understand, it's just as much about the Millville baseball team as it is Mike Trout. They really go inside and give you some insight into the Millville baseball team. And from what I hear, Buddy Kennedy, who the current Millville senior, great player, committed to North Carolina, has attracted some attention of professional scouts himself, might steal the show,
Really?
with some of his comments and his kind of personality there. So, it should be great and exciting to watch. And like I've said in the past, anytime you see your main street or your high school or the place where Jim's Luncheonette on national television on a documentary, and you see a documentary about somebody in your town, it's special. It's neat, and that'll be a neat experience. I'm sure the South Jersey baseball fans, the ones that didn't make it out to the Lavoie Theater in Millville on Thursday, will be glued to their sets tomorrow night at 8:00 to watch that Mike Trout documentary on the MLB Network.
How is Mike McGarry not a part of this?
Who knows? Who knows?
Come on, man! You're the authority on Mike Trout. You've been covering him since he was about 8 years old, right?
Mike Trout has done enough for me. I always say the only reason I've been to the top of the Empire State Building is because I went with Mike Trout. I've been to Camden Yards to see Mike Trout. I've been to Anaheim to see Mike Trout. I've been to the Major League Baseball studios to watch Mike Trout get drafted. I've been to the top of the Empire State Building with Mike Trout. That's the neat thing about covering Mike Trout and the neat thing that Trout has done for everybody in Millville in the South Jersey baseball community. And I think the reason why there's such allegiance to him in this area is that he's kind of taken the whole, community, the whole sports community on his journey and made us all a little part of his journey. And I think that's what kind of makes his story neat and why he's so big and there's so much allegiance to him in South Jersey.
Talking with Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, when you talk to him these days, how much different is he than maybe when he was a freshman, sophomore, junior in high school?
Honestly, obviously he's older. He's 25, 26 years old. When we were talking to him back then, he was 15, 16, 17 years old. I mean, I can remember the first time, calling him up while he was trying out for area code games or Team USA when he was a sophomore or a junior at Millville High School during the summer. So obviously he's older, but he's still basically the same sort of quiet, sort of reserved guy. I think he's, his father used to joke with me that, it used to be tough to get him to say stuff or tough to get him to give you a good quote or something.
Right.
And his father used to joke with me that, don't worry, he doesn't talk to me. He doesn't tell me anything either. Jeff Trout used to tell the story that he would ask Mike, like how the game was, and Mike would say, "Fine, I went 2 for 3 or 2 for 4 or something." And then later on, Jeff would find out that he dove over the center field fence to make a catch. Those 2 hits were home runs. He knocked in 5 runs. I mean, that's what he would find that out from somebody else. So he's still basically the same sort of quiet guy. He's a better quote now, more experienced dealing with the media. But he's still, kind of what you see and what you think is what you get, and that's in a good way.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about him is, he never lost that connection to his hometown. I mean, he's been out in California now for a while, but he still comes home in the off season. He still hangs out with his high school buddies. He's never let the star status really influence who he is as a person.
Well, anybody that's ever been to California and has been out there, and sees the weather out there and the beaches out there, and to leave that behind and come back to New Jersey in the winter, it'd be one thing if he was a basketball player and played out in Los Angeles and came back to summer at the Jersey Shore or something, but he's coming back in the dead of winter. So, that says a lot. And I think, that documentary brings that home, and I think that's a big reason why the documentary is so much about Millville, because Millville is such a big part, and Mike, and still is a big part of Mike. The clip that I saw, him talking at Jim's Luncheonette there about how when he was drafted and he was 18 and 19 years old and was leaving to go play in the minor leagues, that it was tough to leave Millville behind because it was such a big part of him. So I think that's another big reason why, he's kind of so big in his hometown here is that he stayed here, and I think people appreciate that.
It was funny, Mike. I was at Egg Harbor Township covering a lacrosse game, first week of the season, and game got over, so I kind of sauntered over to the baseball field. They were having a scrimmage game against St. Joe, and so I was hanging out in the dugout a little bit, talking to some of the guys, and I looked down at Nick Milhan, and his spikes were all beat up, just junky spikes. I was like, dude, man, those aren't your game spikes, are they? He's like, no way, man. I got some new Trouts.
Right, exactly. Well, there you go. And I think the other transition that you're seeing now, I kind of read in one of the stories that, each year Millville gives Trout's number one. He wore number one in high school. Yep. Each year Millville elects a senior to sort of wear that number. This year 3 seniors are wearing it, I think, and they're splitting. And one of the seniors that is wearing is Ryan McGarry. And Trout always makes time to go visit with these kids and takes a picture with them, holding the jersey and talking to the team and stuff like that. And one of the kids this year, when they saw Trout, referred to him as Mr. Trout. So that's kind of the difference there. Mike, he's getting older. Like I said, I think I said last week, these kids now are 17, 18. Trout graduated in 2009. That was 8 years ago. These kids were 7, 8 years old when Mike was playing in high school. So, it's amazing kind of how fast time time travels on, basically. It's been almost a decade now since he's been out of Millville High School.
Yeah, crazy to think about.
Yeah, exactly. And but again, that documentary should be spectacular to see, and really looking forward to it. Apparently everybody who saw it at the Lavoie Theater in Millville on Thursday night really thought it was great. And Buddy Kennedy might have an Oscar in his future, apparently. So,
Good stuff, man. We'll have to get him on the show next weekend. Thanks a lot, Mike. We appreciate it. I'll definitely be tuning in tomorrow night.
All right, no problem. See you later, Sully.
Thanks, bud. That was Mike McGarry, the press for Atlantic City. Always some great stuff from him.